feels like to me that Denver is ready for some big structural change. Now, some of you may have noticed we had a little debate on Wednesday night. I just want you to know, since that debate, we've been feeling this energy across the country. In 3 days, 250,000 people have gone to ElizabethWarren.com, pitched in their $25, and helped us raise $9 million in 3 days. People who say they are progressives and they want to get stuff done. 250,000 people who say this fight is our fight. And 250,000 people who are saying if you haven't done it already, join us. Go to ElizabethWarren.com, get signed up, and get in this fight. I want to talk a little bit at the top here, just kind of get us all oriented, and then I'll take some questions. I got some bad news. Today I cannot stay and do selfies. I gotta get on to South Carolina. But here's my promise. You deliver Colorado, I'm coming back for a selfie with every single person. Good, that sounds great. So, I want to think about what's going to be happening over the next few weeks. And there is a serious threat coming that we got to pay attention to. That threat is in the name of Mike Bloomberg. You gotta watch out, because he's making the argument that because he is the richest guy out there, that makes him the safest to beat Trump. Now, you may have seen this movie before. A billionaire who hides his taxes. A billionaire who has a history of harassment and discrimination against women. And a billionaire who embraces racist policies. This time, the ugly and dangerous policies of stop and frisk and redlining. Understand this, Michael Bloomberg is not the safest nominee for the Democrats. He is the riskiest nominee for the Democrats. So, I have a proposal, and that is we can just, by way of cheering, we can send a message to Michael Bloomberg. And here's the message. We are not trading one arrogant billionaire for another. What do you say? I wanted to tell you just a little bit about myself, and that is, I am not a lifelong politician, not by any stretch. In fact, of all the people on the debate stage, regardless of age, I have been in politics the shortest amount of time. I'm not a lifelong politician, but I'll tell you what I am. I'm a lifelong fighter. Honest. I grew up in a family that had a lot of ups and downs. I was born and raised in Oklahoma. Go Okies. I have 3 much older brothers who all joined the military. And when we were growing up, up, our daddy had a lot of different jobs. He sold fencing, he sold hardware, he sold paint. Ultimately, he ended up as a janitor. We had better times and worse times, but one of the worst was when my 3 older brothers were all off, and it was just down to my mama and my daddy and me. I was in middle school, and my daddy had a serious heart attack. And for a while we thought he was gonna die. He pulled through, but he couldn't work. Week after week after week. And that meant no money coming in. I still remember the day that we lost the family station wagon. I remember how my mother used to kiss me at night, and she'd give me this big smile, and she'd leave the room, close the door, and then I'd hear her start to cry, because she never wanted to cry in front of me. And I remember the day that I walked into their bedroom, and laid out on the bed was the dress. Now, some of you will know the dress. It's the one that only comes out weddings, funerals, and graduations, right? The dress. And there it is laid out on the bed, and down at the end of the bed is my mother. She's in her slip and her stocking feet, and she's pacing. And she's saying, "We will not lose this house. We will not lose this house. We will not lose this house." And I'm just standing in the doorway. And she looks up and she sees me there. She's terrified. She's 50 years old. She's never worked outside the home. She didn't know what she's going to do. So she looks at me. She looks at that dress. She walks over finally and she pulls that dress on, puts on her high heels, and walks to the Sears, where she gets a full-time minimum wage job answering the phones. My mother saved our house, and more importantly, she saved our family. And she taught me early on, no matter how hard it looks, no matter how scared you are, you get in the fight and take care of the people you love. She taught me you fight for your family. And by the time I graduated from high school, man, I knew what I wanted to do. I've known since 2nd grade. I wanted to be a public school teacher. Can we hear it from public school teachers? Now, just so you know, I invested early. I used to line my dollies up and teach school. Yeah, I had a reputation for being tough but fair. That's all I wanted to teach public school. By the time I graduated from high school, my family didn't have the money for a college application, much less to send me off to 4 years at university. So here's the deal. My story has a zillion bumps and turns and twists, including going to school, dropping out of college at 19 and getting married, back into school, the whole business. But I hung in there. I found a commuter college, cost $50 a semester, finished my 4-year diploma, and I became a special education teacher. So I learned to fight for my family, I learned to fight for myself. I got that degree. And then I got started teaching. I was teaching in special ed. I had 4 to 6-year-olds. I love my babies. I love my babies. But I did what all good teachers do. I fought for my children in my class. And on March 19th, when our teachers go for a state day of action here in Colorado, we're going to be standing with them. Because when our teachers fight, our teachers aren't just fighting for themselves. They're fighting for our children. They're fighting for our future. So there it is. We fight for our families. We fight for ourselves. And we fight for the people who need us most. But we don't just fight. We fight and we get things done. I want to tell you a quick story, although you've already heard part of the story, but I want to tell you a quick story. Following the crash in 2008, here I am, I'm a teacher. By this point I'm teaching in law school, doing all my work around one central question. What's happening to America's working families? Why is America's middle class being hollowed out? Why is it that people who work every bit as hard as my mom and dad worked 2 generations ago today find the path so much steeper and so much rockier, and for people of color, even steeper and even rockier? So I'm in this fight. I'm telling people starting in the late 1990s, we got a problem with these mortgages coming up. These giant banks have figured out that they can target people, particularly that they can target communities of color, they can target African Americans, they can target Latinx, and they can rip them off with these mortgages and take away their homes. In fact, they got so dang good at it, they started doing it all across the nation. And ultimately, they wrecked the entire economy. That was the crash of 2008. No, Mike Bloomberg, you don't get to blame it on African Americans and Latinos. I'm teaching, and I got an idea, and that is for an agency, federal agency. Try selling a federal agency in Washington. Well, you know, people said, I'll tell you, I said, here's my idea. Let's just have an agency that just focuses on these financial products so that banks can no longer boost their profits by cheating people on mortgages, credit cards, payday loans, student loans. Sound like a good idea, right? Pretty straightforward. So I went to Washington. I'm not an elected official. I'm not in government. I went to Washington and basically I knocked on doors. Democrat, Republican, I didn't care. I pitched my idea to everybody. And what I started to notice after a little while is I start getting the same 2 responses. First response is, that's a good idea. You could actually make a real difference. You could actually make sure this crisis, in this way at least, never happens again. That is a good idea. And the second thing, everybody said, don't even try. Don't even try, because you'll be up against Wall Street. You'll be up against the big banks. You'll be up against all the Republicans. And shoot, you'll be up against half the Democrats. You cannot get it done. So I heard them, and I thought what they were saying is, fight harder. Fight smarter, because here's the thing. What I figured out is nobody in Washington was going to do this, so we were just going to have to build it ourselves. You know how we built it? I want to tell you where it started. It started with the unions. AFL-CIO, SEIU came in and said, we'll help you on that. NAACP said, we'll help on that. Take a piece of that. Even Consumers Union jumped in and said, we'll help you get it done. And that's how it worked. While Wall Street was spending more than $1 million a day fighting us, in the ears of every lawmaker, lobbying like crazy, saying we're never going to get this, never, never, never let this agency pass. What I was doing out there is we were building a coalition, and we were building it out with people, and we were starting to get our energy, starting to get our fight on, and we took that fight to Washington, and in 2010, President Obama signed that agency into law. We won. about winning. That little agency has already forced the banks to return more than $12 billion directly to people. So I learned two things. When you fight, you win. And we can make government work for the people. We can do it. So here's the thing. We need a fighter who can get things done. We need a fighter because we've got a lot that we need to get done. We need a wealth tax in America. It's time. In America, I'll tell you what else it's time for. It's time for a Green New Deal and a Blue New Deal. And it's time to cut gun violence in this country. One more I want to mention. It's time for real immigration reform and a pathway to citizenship. Now the thing is, I get it. These fights are going to be big fights. Big fights. So how are we going to win those fights? Well, part of it is that we got to hang on to the House of Representatives. Yeah. Part of it, we got to take back the Senate, and I'm looking at you, Colorado. But now I'm going to go wonky on you for just a minute. I know, it's just who I am. Because here's the thing, yes, here's the thing. We gotta make real change. Take the House, take the Senate, that doesn't get us there. Because those big things that I just talked about, we need that wealth tax, right? We need immigration reform. We need to put an end to gun violence in this country. We need to attack climate change on multiple fronts. But to do that, how many votes are we going to need in the Senate? Now we're down to the filibuster question. Because so long as there is a filibuster, that means it's going to take 60 votes. We get rid of the filibuster, all you need is 50. People ask about the difference between Bernie and me, because there are a lot of places where we agree about the things we want to fight for, but here's a big diff. Bernie supports the filibuster. I'm going to get rid of the filibuster because it's real straightforward for me. If there's a filibuster in place, I know what happens, and I won't let billionaires have a veto over the wealth tax. I won't let the fossil fuel industry have a veto over climate change. I won't let the NRA and the gun industry have a veto over the safety and lives of our children. And I won't let everyone who has been stirred up by Donald Trump's hateful policies and positions to just keep on stirring. We're going to get immigration reform. We're going to show that immigration makes our country strong or not. We know they are not going to have a veto. So, Here's what I want to do. I want to go to Washington, not just to talk. I want to go to Washington to make big structural change. Let's do some questions. Where are our questions?
Questions are right over here.
Where?
Down here.
Oh!
You hold it tonight.
I am so ready. Hi.
Hi, Senator Warren. Welcome to Colorado.
Thank you. Good to be in Colorado. We can all start singing some John Denver songs. Okay.
My name is Rebecca, and my question is about the Supreme Court.
Okay.
Sonia Sotomayor earlier this week revealed that the conservative majority is acting with a bias toward the Trump administration. And so my question for you is, what would you do if elected to balance things out on the Supreme Court?
Okay. So I'm gonna make a couple of quick pitches. Look, we need to understand how this problem started. And this problem started, and we just need to be blunt about this, when Mitch McConnell stole a Supreme Court seat from President Obama. So, I still got my brass knucks on over this. I am very unhappy. But I want to start, we're going to do a couple of pieces in here. The first is, we got to get a new president before we have any more Supreme Court vacancies. Shocking notion here. We need Supreme Court justices and all federal justices and an attorney general who believe in the rule of law. But I want to offer you one other point. A lot of folks have gotten accustomed to the Supreme Court protecting a lot of our individual rights, and it's important. And obviously, we want a Supreme Court to do that, but think about it, where the rest of the power is. 3 out of 4 people in America believe that the rule of Roe versus Wade should continue to be the rule. And we have watched as state by state has eroded parts of it, chipped at parts of it, and we all now know Supreme Court may have Roe versus Wade right in its sights. That doesn't mean that we just back up. It doesn't mean we give up. It doesn't mean we get timid. It means we need to pass a law making Roe versus Wade the law of the land. We don't have to. So let's do that. Good. And there'll be other areas where we'll do that, but that's the basic one I wanted you to see. Yeah. Tell me your name.
My name is Renee.
Renee, it's good to see you, Renee.
Thank you very much. It's such an honor to talk to you.
Oh, I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you. So first of all, I want you to know I thoroughly enjoyed the trash can beating you gave Bloomberg the other day.
Women can be tough.
Oh, yeah. He poked the bear. He poked the bear.
And I'll poke him again.
Americans lack understanding about democratic socialism. They hear socialism and they freak out. What they don't understand is that when it snows, we have the plows come. I had my trash collected on Wednesday. We have democratic socialism in Medicare, Medicaid, all of it, right? Social Security. So my question to you is, how would you educate America on what it is and how we can all benefit from it, and or how it's in every...
So I gotta tell you, Renee, I appreciate the question, but you got the wrong person to ask about this. No,
I voted for you.
and I appreciate that. I appreciate that. But I'm not a democratic socialist. I believe in markets. Now, there are areas in any market economy, there are areas where markets don't work. Education, healthcare, and we decide collectively we're going to manage those in a different way. I'm all in, 100% in. But I also believe that the importance of staying focused on markets is it reminds us to stay focused on rules in markets. Markets without rules are theft. That's what I watched in the lead up to the housing crash, is that we became a government that was deeply in the pockets of the banks. And when that happens, the banks end up helping themselves, and everybody else gets left behind. So here's how I look at the problems. Let me just do a couple right now about the problems we've got in our market economy. Number one, it is time just to admit, trickle-down economics has been a complete disaster for this country. The basic idea behind trickle-down economics, this is no joke, is to help the rich and powerful get richer and more powerful. And I really mean that literally. It was cut the taxes for those at the top, that way they got richer, and cut the regulations, that way they got more powerful. And the consequence of that, year by year by year, for nearly 40 years now, is we've watched GDP go up, we've watched the stock market go up, and we have watched the new wealth generated in this country virtually all get sucked to the top, leaving hard-working people, middle-class families, working-class families, the working poor, the poor, leaving people homeless, leaving people behind, kicking dirt on everyone other than the rich and taking away opportunity for them. So what do we do about it? I'll give you 3 quick answers. First, I like that. First answer. We have a problem with giant corporations. Gobble up little businesses, gobble up medium-sized businesses, gobble up giant businesses. And the problem with that is not just what it does to the economy, it's what it does to our government. It gives them power over these giant corporations, over their workers, it gives it over their customers, over their communities, and over Washington. We need a president who has the courage to enforce our antitrust laws and break these giants up. That's not enough. It can't just be government versus the large corporations. It's why I talk about structural change. We need structural change. We need more power in the hands of workers. That means make it easier to join a union and give unions more power when they negotiate. Unions built America's middle class. Unions will rebuild America's middle class. One. Think about the economic implications of that 2-cent wealth tax. 2 cents, and we can invest in an entire generation of young people. Universal child care for every baby in this country age 0. Universal pre-K for every 3-year-old and 4-year-old in America. Stop exploiting the people, largely black and brown women who do this work, raise the wages of every child care worker in preschool. 2 cents, and we can put $800 billion new federal dollars into our public schools. Quadruple the funding for Title I schools. Okay, and this one won't surprise you, from a former special education teacher, fully fund IDEA every child with a disability. 2 cents. We can do all of that, plus we can make technical school, 2-year college, 4-year college tuition free for anyone who wants to. We can help level the playing field and put $50 billion into our historically black colleges and universities, our tribal colleges, and our minority-serving institutions. And just one more. We can cancel student loan debt for 43 months. A statement of our values. Better to leave 2 cents with a handful of millionaires and billionaires or invest in a whole generation. But it's also a statement about our economy and how you think our economy ought to work. And let me tell you, I think a market economy should work. And I'm just going to pick one of those. Universal child care. That 2 cents out of the pockets of billionaires, they're already growing this money at what? 4%, 6%, 8% a year. You just say, take 2%. They'll never miss it. That's except for Scrooge McDuck who rolls in it, right? But you're right. Have their own money managers. They'll never miss it. They pitch it in and think for a minute economically about what it means. Not only good for a baby who is getting early childhood education from the beginning, but it means mamas will be able to finish their education. Mamas and daddies who will be able to take jobs, full-time jobs, work shift, more productivity in our economy. And when that money is not going to childcare, where do you think it's going? It's going right here into the local economy. It's more pizzas, and it's more saving up for a car and saving up for a home. It's more investment in the real economy. You want to know how to grow good jobs in America? You want more money at the local economy so small businesses have more to do. That's how we build a market economy that works. So, I'm a market economy gal, but I believe in a market economy that we make work for everyone in this country. That's what we can do. Thank you. That's good. Who we got next?
Hi, my name is Jay, and first I want to give a shout out to the Girl Scouts who were brilliant to sell cookies outside.
Speaking of entrepreneurship, go Girl Scouts. Can I just say, for any of you who haven't made up your mind about who you're going to vote for, I was a Girl Scout leader 2 years at Cookie Chair 2 years. Go Girl Scouts.
So I really appreciate this opportunity. Last night, I'm still deciding who to fill out my ballot for. It's at home, it's blank.
Okay.
And last night...
Okay, I'll hold him back. You run for the door.
You know, good sign though is I was at Pete's event last night. You're definitely winning on the enthusiasm.
All right.
But my question, my personal choice would be for Medicare for all. My worry is though, getting it passed in the House, in the Senate, even if we take it back with our moderate and blue dog Democrats having to go back to those tough districts, how are you going to help convince them so we can get that passed?
Okay, so it's a great question. And let me tell you how I approach this. Okay, here's how I approach this. I don't start this on labels or how you get something politically done. I start by trying to figure out what we need. And let me give you just one example. Last year, all right, last year in America, 36 million Americans couldn't afford to have the prescriptions filled. Now I want you to think about what that means. That means they were sick enough or worried enough to make an appointment, to go see a doctor. Doctor looked at it and was concerned enough to write them a prescription. They then left, found out what it cost, and said, it's that or food. It's that or pay the rent on time. And they opted not to get the treatment the doctor said they needed, to throw it away. In America, that is wrong. Healthcare is a basic human right, and we fight for basic human rights. So here's my takeaway from that. That means my approach is I want to get as much help to as many people as quickly as we can. Let's do this as fast as we can. And here's how I plan to do it. Starting on day one, I will do things a president can do, I love saying this, all by herself. First, I will defend the Affordable Care Act from the sabotage of the Trump administration. Second, I'm going to use something called march-in orders. They're already there. It's already part of law. That will let a president reduce the price of prescription drugs. I'm going to bring down, listen to me on this, anybody in here use insulin or know somebody who uses insulin? There you go. There you go. EpiPens, any HIV/AIDS drugs, mental health drugs, any of those. I'm going to bring down the price of those drugs using march-in orders on the first day. We can say you know me, if I'm going to do this, I have figured out a plan for it. So how do we get to health care coverage for everyone? Well, first, you got to figure out how to pay for it. I figured out how to pay for it without costing middle-class families one thin dime. It actually isn't that hard. Let me tell you how you do it. You increase taxes on the top 1% in this country. They can afford it. You ask companies like Amazon, Halliburton, Eli Lilly that paid nothing in taxes last year. Well, they reported billions in profits. You make them pony up. And my personal favorite, number 3, you hire some more IRS agents to go after the tax cheats at the top. Us enough money to work with without increasing taxes on any working family. It gives us enough money to work with that now we can start moving. And here's the basic idea, is that we offer full health care coverage to about 118 million people at no cost. Everybody under the age of 18, everybody with family income below $50,000, and at modest cost for everyone else. Nobody has to take it, but you're welcome to it. Try it. Just try it. Try it. It's all paid for. And here is my hunch. When tens of millions of people try it, and they see what healthcare is like, when it's just your doctor and you and your doctor, your nurse practitioner, your mental health professional, your physical therapist, with no insurance company standing in between. I think a lot of people are going to like that. I think they're going to tell their friends and neighbors about it. I think there's going to be a lot of talk about how it works. And then we vote on it. And I want to be clear on this. If we don't get everything on the very first vote, you know me, I will take the win, and then I will get up the next morning and fight for more. You gotta build coalitions to make it happen. Good. You bet. Hello.
Hi, I'm Judy.
Hi,
And
Judy.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. Listen, some of us in this room worked real hard to get Jason Crow into the House. And we will do the same thing for Cory Gardner in the Senate.
All right.
second thing, I want to thank you.
Did you mean to say that a little bit differently?
Oh, for the Senate. Yes.
Out.
Yes.
Can I just say on Jason Crow, he sat, I have the front row seat, in the Senate. Jason Crow sat right in front of me during the impeachment hearings. You all done good. He's a good man. And he did a great job. He represented well, and he was there to fight the right fight. I was really knocked out by him. Good man. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your help.
Yes.
One other thing before my question, I want to thank you for your work on the hearing aid bill.
Yes. Thank you.
And my question is, if Orange Trump is the new black, what are you going to do to attract black voters to you?
Oh, so here's how I see this. Her question is about black voters. We cannot be an America that just goes back to black voters every 4 years and say, hi, we're not as bad as those guys, so vote for our side. That can't be who we are. We have a race problem in America, and until we face it head on, we're not gonna make it much better. So that is why on virtually every plan I have, I think about the big issue, and then I stop to think, how does it affect African Americans? Does it affect them differently? And how does it affect Latinx? How does it affect Asian Americans? Are there differences in here? How does it affect women and men? But particularly on race. So let me just give you a couple of ideas. We were just talking about healthcare. One part of my healthcare plan is that we must reduce the rates of maternal mortality for African Americans. And I've got a plan for that. Housing. We need more housing in America. I've got a plan to build 3.2 million new housing units in America. But we also need to take a deep breath and look at America's history of redlining. That was federal law that until 1965 subsidized the purchase of homes for white people and discriminated against black people. It created a black-white wealth gap in America that persists even today. So I have a housing plan that specifically addresses redlining and helps people get into homes who were denied opportunity. Gap in America because there's a wealth gap. So I figured out it's about a $7 trillion that we need. We could close the entrepreneurship gap, make equity investments in African Americans who are cut out of the system, Latinos who are cut out of the system, women who are cut out of the system, and close the entrepreneurship gap in America. Justice, a race problem from front to back. We live in an America where for the exact same crimes, African Americans are more likely than whites to be arrested, to be detained, to be taken to trial, to be wrongfully convicted, and to be given longer sentences. We've got to address this head on and reform this system top to bottom. And I'll just mention two quick ways of doing that. One, it's time to legalize marijuana federally. Close all private prisons and private. So there's more, no surprise. Lots of plans, lots of areas. There's more. But at the heart of it, understand this. It's about the kind of administration I want to run. I want people at the table who represent. I want African Americans, I want Latinos, I want men, I want women. I want gay, I want straight, I want trans, I want bi. I want people who grew up poor. I want people. My administration will look like America because that's how we make real change in this country. Okay, hi.
Hi, I'm Amal.
Hi, Amal. It's good to see you.
I know that President Warren will.
Yes, I'm liking this.
I know that my family and I can sleep without worrying about 2 a.m. toilet tweets that can start a war. My husband's a
You know what?
veteran,
That is an easy promise.
so I won't have to worry about that.
That's
and
right.
That,
Not
thank
happening.
you so much for making us feel hopeful. My question is, you know, you showed us how the education secretary is. Would Betsy DeVos still be there? How would you shape your administration?
So let me take this question and just remind everyone why there's so much you can do as president. We talk about Congress and we talk about the importance, and there are some things you have to do through Congress. Pathway to citizenship has to go through Congress. Better gun laws have to go through Congress. Some things have to go through Congress, but some things don't. And getting rid of Betsy DeVos is one of them. Of the kind of Secretary of Education I want. My Secretary of Education will have been a public school teacher. My Secretary of Education will believe in public education. My Secretary of Education will believe that public dollars stay in public schools. Secretary of Education will toss high-stakes tests into the wastebasket. Think what we can do with the Department of Education that's on the side of our kids who are learning in public schools. We can make a huge difference in the future of America. Between that and the money we put in to support our public schools, that is how we will build a great future in this country. Our teachers will do it for us. Thank you.
Senator Warren, this is the last question.
Oh, darn. Okay, last question.
Hi, my name is Dan, and I'm
Hi,
from Denver. A couple things. So one, I just wanted to say how present how long the list of marginalized people is in the United States.
Yeah.
And when you say you will champion for them, I believe you.
Thank you.
And I love you for that, and that's with my wife's permission.
Thank you.
So my question is, during the last debate, you know, before you wrecked Bloomberg, that one? I mean, right after you wrecked Bloomberg, that they asked about the convention and whether or not you would go with whoever has the most delegates or stand by the rules. And you said the rules, but you laid down a qualifier. You said only if we get to keep all of our delegates. Mm-hmm. So I don't have that distinction, like what other way could it go? So when you said that, what was the point of...
Oh, I'm sorry. I was really just trying to say stick with the rules. I wasn't trying to be fancy.
Oh.
I was trying to remember what the rules were. You know, I haven't done politics a lot, and I was thinking, what are the rules on this?
Okay.
And I think it's an important part. Okay.
Awesome. I just didn't know if there was something I
No,
wasn't
there was
getting.
nothing fancier than that, but I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. It's a good question. Nothing fancy. So I tell you what, let's wrap this up, and let's wrap it up. We gotta be sober. Yeah, I'm headed to South Carolina. We gotta be sober for a minute here, because for all the things we talk about that we can do, and it does, it fills my heart with hope. You know, I hope you all, I really do, I hope you go to ElizabethWarren.com and just kind of look through the plans. Take a particular look at the plan for people with disabilities. Because here's one of the best things about that plan. It was written by people with disabilities. We worked together. And that's the best example I can give you of the kind of president I want to be. I want to be the kind of president that doesn't just pronounce it all, the kind of president that still listens and keeps an open heart. You know, I worry right now. We've had 3 years of Donald Trump, and people are afraid around this country. They are afraid for their families. They're afraid for their neighbors. They are afraid for children locked in cages down at our border. They are afraid for children in lockdowns in our public schools. They are afraid for women, for people of color, for LGBTQ people, for trans people, all of whose rights are up for grabs in this Supreme Court. They are afraid for our country and afraid for our planet. And the danger is real. And so you have a decision to make when there is this much danger, when so much hangs in the balance. Are you going to pull back? Are you going to be timid? Or are you going to get in the fight? Me, I'm fighting back. Against a king to form this country. We fought back against the scourge of slavery to save this union. We fought back against a Great Depression to rebuild this economy. We fought back against the rise of fascism to protect our democracy. Americans are at our best when we see a problem and we fight back. For small ideas. This is no time to nibble around the edges of big problems. This is no time to talk with no plan. This is the time to recognize the problems, put a plan in place, and fight to get that plan enacted. That was carefully designed by consultants. You've noticed that. I am not running a campaign that has a bunch of proposals that were carefully designed not to offend big donors. I passed that stop sign a long time ago. I am running a campaign based on a lifetime of fighting for working families. I am running a campaign from the heart because I believe in you, and I believe in the America that we can build together. I believe in an America where every single person has value. An America where every single child is worth investing in. An America where I believe in that America and I can see that America. And if you believe that that America is possible, and if you believe that that America is worth fighting for, then I'm asking you, get in this fight. Go to ElizabethWarren.com. Vote for me. Volunteer. Pitch in $5. Do it all, but get in the fight, because understand this. This is the moment in history that we have been called to. This is the moment that will determine the fate of our nation and the fate of our world, not for 4 years, not for 8 years, but for generations to come. This is our moment, and it will not come our way again. So, this is our moment to choose hope over fear, our moment to choose courage, our moment